Hello and welcome to Take It to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I am your host, JP, John Pus from the Two Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me, star of the show, former WWE World Tag Team Champion, 8-time Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Champion, and one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing great today. Thank you very much. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good in this crazy world we now live in. All this crazy stuff. I don't know if you caught this or not, but Vince McMahon, after we were talking last week about the allegations and he's stepping down and Stephanie's the CEO, he's been on SmackDown and Raw. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, I think uh, no matter what, Vince is going to be Vince. He's going to be true to himself, and doesn't shock me at all. Doesn't it really doesn't shock me? People like that, and guys like that, and Vince is one of those guys like that who is confident, believes in himself, believes he's right, believes his and who's to say he's wrong? Uh, Everybody else, he doesn't care about everybody else, I guess. So yeah, it doesn't shock me at all, and that's been Vince the whole time. I think that's why he's where he's at because he would be willing to step up like to the government last time and whatever else happened. So it doesn't shock me at all, really.
What's going on, Rob Jones?
Rob.
What's going
And
on, Ibsen? Hey, what's going on?
Ibsen, yes, yes, yes. So anyway,
Next week will be 9 years since Matt Bourne has passed away. Wow,
oh my
really?
gosh, yeah. Matt Bourne was. I like Matt. I got along really really good with Matt. And when I went to Oregon, he's from Oregon. He was from up that part of the country, and a lot of so he rubbed some people the wrong way. I get that, totally understand that, but he was God, I don't know. He and Buzz Sawyer were a lot alike uh, in how they were outside the ring and how they were inside the ring too. So man, it's amazing. I looked at some of the guys who passed away because I do write it in my book, and I'm every page has something written down at the end who passed away, and it's like, man, it's been a lot of people. So, yeah, that's wild. 9 years. It's going to be 10 years coming up for Brad Armstrong here November 1st of this year. So, I mean, it's always good to remember your friends. It really is.
Now going back to Vince for a second, I just thought like that was like a big, F you, a big like, oh yeah, you guys think I'm out as CEO? Well, I'm coming out on TV. I'm still head of creative. I'm still in charge. Like that's just what it came off like to me. Like, wow, what
Yeah, but it's
brass
those
balls.
it's those guys who build the roads. It's those guys who build the stairway to your dreams. It's those guys who make their own dreams. I mean, he's the guy who financed Evil Knievel jumping over Snake Canyon because he said he could. I mean, he's that guy taking chances, and right, wrong, or indifferent. Yeah, it was probably a big fu to everybody to say, look, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that doesn't shock me, and especially in today's culture, there's a lot of tension in today's culture, and there's a lot of people standing up saying one way or the other they don't like this, and the other ones say they don't like that. So Vince is what else? I mean, to be contrite or to be at least aware, and I'm sure he's aware, but I think standing in front of everybody saying, "Hey, here I am. We're going to continue on, and I'm going to deliver a hell of a whatever they delivering these days." I don't know, man. I mean, if we were them, then we'd be doing what they'd be doing. But they got there. They got in that position. They being people like Vince, um, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, all these people. I mean, and all of them are promoters, and all of them are strong, powerful people. That's how strong, powerful people remain strong and powerful. They don't let anything penetrate. And is it a big fu? Yeah, no doubt. I'm sure it is. So what we can decry, deride it, and say it's something you shouldn't do, and you're tone deaf, and how could you? We could, but the world is what it is, and it's not always a nice place. And there's some really cold blooded um, experiences that happen out there, and the only thing we can do about it, John, is try to be better ourselves, I guess, because nobody's going to tell Vince how to live. Nobody's going to tell any of those people. It's the way they do business. It's the way they do life.
Ibsen says no one should be surprised by Vincent's appearances. 94 never spoke about the steroid trial on TV.
Yeah, I'm not surprised one bit, and I don't think anybody else should either. And I'm sure it's a lot of messages he's sending out because that's what he does. It's I don't know if it's compartmentalized or not, but it's at least focused on what he wants to focus on.
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure. And here's Matty R saying, "Is Bruce thrilled? He's got even more on his plate right now."
You know what? Bruce just got done with rotator cuff surgery, so he's he's dealing with that on top of everything else.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
Huh?
I didn't realize he had surgery.
Rotator cuff surgery, yeah. So he's at home while all this is going on, but I mean, I'm sure he's taking care of and staying in contact with the office or whatever he has to do. So, but I'm sure he's thrilled. I'm sure he's overjoyed.
And now, as we just recently found out, Johnny Ace is taking an administrative leave. I'm sure he's getting paid, and no problem there. But he's got sent home while this investigation is going on, and Bruce is now in charge of talent relations. So, look at Bruce. He's a busy man.
Yeah, yeah, but he. I think everybody's been kind of busy lately. I really do, and that's what I'm saying. He's at home while all this is going on and trying to. He just had it last Wednesday, so a week ago, and so and I've never had a torn rotator cuff, so I don't know, but you're supposed to stay still. He can't lay down. He's got to go to sleep sitting up, and that in itself, just dealing with that is one thing you have to compartmentalize, and then you have to think about work, and you have to think about what's going on, and business is continuing on. The world doesn't stop. So, I mean, those guys, look, man, once you get to that point, and I lived in Stanford for a while, I was on the fourth floor with talent relations. The work ethic is a real deal there. It really is. And you can call it whatever you want, but I saw it as a work ethic, and people work hard and they play hard. And it's that culture. So Bruce has been around it a lot longer than I have, in a different level, in a different position. So those guys are doing what they have to do, and they're relentless. You don't have to like them. You don't have to like what they do, and a lot of times I didn't. but you understand. Well, no, you don't have to understand, but it doesn't stop because one wheel was removed. I mean, they keep or one spoke was removed. It keeps the wheel keeps spinning, and things keep going on. So you can't stop everything, and people still need to still have issues and need to talk to somebody in talent relations or whatever it may be. And I read just like you do on the internet, because I don't discuss business with Bruce. It's just not. It's business. So, I'm sure he's got. I'm sure everybody's working hard to make it continue on as best as they can. I don't know what else they could do. Hello, Herb. By the way.
Yes, Herb. What's
Yes.
going on? Mike D, you guys make a great team. Thank you, Mike D.
How about that?
Mike, fat white guy. Hey, what's up, Doc?
Well, this is up. I heard they arrested the devil the other day. They got him on possession. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Try that again.
Michael says, Tom, do you think Vince is an egomaniac?
Who isn't?
Oh, is Vince though? Yes, definitely.
Again, who isn't?
True. All right. You know, we're talking about how Bruce is, moving on up, and Johnny Ace gets pushed aside. Jeremy says, "Hire Russo" instead of the infamous. I don't know if you ever heard the infamous chants "Fire Russo." The,
I've
the
heard it.
TNA fans used to always say "Fire Russo," clap, clap. He's
I
saying
have
"Hire Russo."
I have nothing against Vince Russo. I never had any issues with him because again, I wasn't working on that level with him at all. A very superficial level. I was training the guys. He was writing for the guys. But if what I think, and this goes with any team or any whether it's business or sports, I think if you don't have people who know how to work as a team, it's not going to work. And does Vince Russo know how to work as a team and know when to throw the ball, know when to catch it, know when to let somebody else catch it, know when to let somebody else pitch the ball? It's not going to work. So no matter who you hire, if you don't understand how to integrate in and understand the dynamic, I guess that's my take, and that's only my opinion, and just from what I had the chance to witness and experience when I was living in Stanford and when I was at the Towers. It's a team effort, and regardless of what you hear, it's a audience of one. I'm sure it is. It always has been, but you have to have a team effort going into it.
Any thoughts of this being politically motivated? Vince obviously is a good friend of Donald Trump.
Of course, of course, he's a good friend of Donald Trump. I mean, politically motivated? How? I think that anything like this, because this isn't new. This didn't happen just recently. The investigation did, but obviously, what they're alleging happened like 3 years ago. I guess is what I'm understanding, or I'm not. Is this right, or do you know?
This is somewhat recent as far as the recent allegation, but they're saying they're going back a few years with other allegations and other NDAs.
So, well, what I'm asking, I guess, is what happened? Did it happen recently, or did it happen
Yeah,
three
somewhat
years ago?
recently. Yeah, no,
Oh,
somewhat
oh, I
recently.
thought the allegation just happened recently. Well, either way, uh, either either way, I think there's always, whenever you have that high a profile or whatever's going on, um, you're going to have a target on your back, and people you know might have a target on their back. Who knows? Honest to God, I don't even want to speculate because it's one of those things that I just look at the climate and the landscape today. Um, okay, so I was talking with a friend last night on the way home from training, talking about a little league baseball team. Um, Going out and they're playing another top team for going to state and finals. They're 10 and 11-year-old kids. And one team hit 10 home runs in the first inning against this pitcher, this young 10-year-old pitcher. And the kid broke down crying. And the coach came out, hugged him, and some of the people in the stands were looking around like, what is going on here? I mean, what are we teaching today? What's the culture like today? Are you entitled? Are you going to be cuddled? Are you going to be held? I'm not trying to be insensitive. All I'm saying is it's a different world. I mean, I'll take care of my kids, my grandkids too. I would do the same thing. I get it. But then we wonder why everybody gets sidetracked and start psychoanalyzing every single thing and realizing that there's timing for everything for whatever reason in the world, even though it may not happen for whatever reason we think it might. There's why do things come out when they come out? Is it politically motivated? Hell, isn't everything? When you come right down to it, what's the reason? What do you want done? What is the justice? What are we looking for? I don't know. I honest to God don't know. That's why I hate talking about stuff like this sometimes, because I know it sounds stupid, but I look at it like, yeah, it is nuts. I look at it like, how do you get things done in the world? How does war get taken care of? War is not a pretty place, pretty sight. Not anything you've ever heard about. War is nice, and neither is politics, and neither is the way it is in the world, in America, and the entire universe. It's not, and those kind of people have to make those kind of decisions. And like as in An Officer and a Gentleman, Jack Nicholson says, you can't handle the truth. You need people like me to take care of it. Well, there's an element of truth there. I truly believe that there's an element of truth. And if you don't have people like that, they're gonna run over and take over people who are a little more passive and a little more accepting of whatever's handed them, is what I'm trying to say. And I always thought that when we lived in this was a place you could do and say anything as long as you didn't interfere with anybody else's ability to do or say anything. Are there people that abuse that? Of course. There's good and evil in the world. Not everybody's going to use their superpowers for good. I'm going to stop talking, John, because that's where I go. And then I start thinking, no, this is all ridiculous.
Ruben says he really does not like today's product. Do you think the industry can be turned around? Does it really rely on Vince's input? Really miss the good old days.
I don't know if the good old days can come back, just because, again, the culture and the education people have had about wrestling. It would take a generation, I think, if anything at all, but the elements are still there. The mystery, the intrigue, the unpredictability. If you had people who had seen that and they felt the same way as Rock, Austin, Mick Foley, the guys who watched old school stuff. See, the Attitude Era came from people who watched and grew up with the old school, the Valentines, the Wahoos, the Malenkos, the Eddie Grahams of the world, the Lawlers in their younger days that had that unpredictability, a little bit of authenticity to it. It was a differently promoted product, and it wasn't presented as it is today. It's presented as a performance today. It's always been a performance. But Vince found the way to make it huge, mainstream, dolls, action figures, all that stuff. The Hogans watched the Dusty Rhodes and the superstar Billy Grahams. That's who he was patterned, who he patterned himself after, was Dusty and Superstar and those guys. Then Piper, who also grew up on the old school stuff and was part of the old school and became that mainstream. The Orndorffs, all the guys in WrestleMania 1 were main eventers in the territories, in the Texas, in the Carolinas, in the bigger southern territories. And then when Vince was making his move, he knew who to take. And when those guys got here, then he changed it, because they understood in order to make it mainstream, they've got to do something different, because it really was the let's get blood, let's do these more hardcore at that time angles or stuff like that. And not everybody wanted to see that. So you have to give people what they want to see. And they didn't know they what they wanted to see until they saw it. And the difference is you had authenticity. With Hulk Hogan, he was Hulk Hogan. Nobody else could be Hulk Hogan. That was the guy. The Iron Sheik was the Iron Sheik, is the Iron Sheik. They were real. Sheiky Baby was always Sheiky Baby, even in his life. That was the difference. It was presented and came across as, this guy is from Iraq or Iran. He really isn't from Iran. He's not playing a part. Hulk Hogan is that guy. He looks like you would be called Hulk. Can you bring that back? Where are our Hulk Hogan's? Where are our Steve Austin's? Where are the Rocks? Where are the Mankind's, the Mick Foley's, the Kevin Nash's, the Razor Ramones, the Owen Harts, the Bret Harts? Where are those guys today? Everybody I just mentioned had a passion and they believed what they did. And they came to the ring like that. That's it's too inclusive today. And I'll say that because not everybody should do this. Not everybody can do this. This really is something you have to feel to be any good at it. And I was never a top guy, but I felt this. And I love this. I don't think anybody really feels it and loves it these days. I think they want to do it because they want to be famous. Until you get that mentality back where but you can't because those days are long gone. It's cable TV. You used to be able to say in one territory, this guy's the North American champion, or this guy's the greatest wrestler in the world. When if you got cable TV, that doesn't compare because you've got the greatest in the world on cable TV. You've got Roman Reigns right now. You've got Brock Lesnar. So you can't, those guys are there. And those are the guys you need. And you have nobody down here to even match that. So if you're going to compete, there's no competition whatsoever. We all wish, I don't even know that I wish it to come back. I just know that the storytelling is missing the fundamentals of knowing this and doing something, not until you get it right, but do it till you can't get it wrong. I mean, it is so foreign. It should be so unnatural to grab a headlock with the right hand. Do you know how many times I see people who don't understand and they get it because you're learning this? You don't know. That's fine. But after a while, it should come to you. If not, I think that's a lot that's missing today.
This might be the best question so far. This is a really good question here from Barbara. Could you please ask Dr. Tom if Bruce ever lost a race to the dinner table at their house?
Well, there never was a race at my house, by the way, just so you know.
Poking fun at Bruce right
Oh,
there.
I see.
I don't
That's a
know.
joke.
I
Okay,
don't know.
I got it.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
like that or not, or maybe you love it. Who knows?
No. As I said, um, the climate today is, I know, but everyone had a great gimmick. Yeah. Okay. But the climate today is, it was like doing it at his comedy show too. He was telling stories that I don't really remember. And then Conrad was trying to get me to come back with something. And then I thought, and I know it's a comedy show, and I get cutting a promo, and I get doing all that stuff, man. But there comes a point for me, and I'm looking at it seriously now because I do this every day, 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. And I'm looking at kids and people coming in who say they really want to do this. And I realize what you have to do. And you don't get there by yourself. And when I was going up and getting up there and Bruce was seizing the day and doing what he does and doing what people like him do because he had drive. You have to have drive. And I listened to all these people tell me about it. And I remember thinking what I was thinking then. And then I go, no, I don't even want to think that way out loud. Because when I say it out loud, then it becomes words that I can't take back. That's honest to God how I feel about stuff like that. I know people like to make jokes, and I know people don't like Bruce. I know a lot of people don't like Bruce. I didn't like Bruce for a long time. And I get that. I certainly understand that. But I've come to the point in my life, and especially in wrestling, where I understand his position more so than ever. And I didn't get it at the beginning. And even when I worked there, I wasn't quite sure if I was sure. But I found out real quick. So that's all. I mean, I know I get it, but I would rather take care of me than make you guys laugh at anybody's expense right now. unless I don't like them.
I always loved Bruce the first time I ever saw him. He said, "I love you," so
Right.
you gotta
Sure.
love him
Well,
right back,
but yeah, you can. But again, I read the headlines or the internet stuff, and I read the shit, and I'm thinking, really, honest to God, on the outside looking in is nothing like looking in or being right there. Nothing. It's what you think it is. It's what you perceive it is, and you can hear rumors from everybody else who said this is what he said, this is what he did. Okay. But you don't know the other side of the story. And I never did until I started having to do it and deal with people who are telling you one thing, but are doing another. I mean, it's like I don't trust words because people can tell you anything, but actions tell you everything. So you're dealing with that, and I don't know. I think a lot of people would love to be that close and do that job, and they don't understand what comes with it. They don't. If you've never been an agent, you don't know what it's like to be an agent. Some people are excellent at it. Some people aren't. I'm not a good office guy, and I never wanted to be a good office guy. But I do have a new respect for him. John Laurinaitis fired me. He hired me back. Triple H, well, actually, Kenyon Seaman fired me for the last time, and I haven't been hired back. That's great, but I understood their position. I understood the MO and what happens once you're fired. You're escorted out and you have to give the key. There's no, I mean, you're done. If you've never been there, you don't know. You can only hear rumors and only hear second and third hand. My opinion is it's a thankless job no matter what. And Laurinaitis getting sent home is part of the job, I guess. So
he's done it to enough people, I guess.
who knows? I
He's got to
mean,
be used to it.
yeah, who knows? Who knows? It's just like what the hell? Yeah, let's see.
If a traveling circus could work and be profitable, then old school wrestling can be done and it can work. Too much wrestling is relying on TV and giving away main events on TV. Bring back the underneath matches, perhaps.
Well, yeah, we say that, but they got to look at what I guess the surveys say, and do people really want to see that? Again, the famous quote from Paul Bosch was, "I like to go fishing, and I like strawberries, but when I go fishing, I put worms on the hook. I'm trying to catch fish. Doesn't matter what I like. Give the fish what they like, and they'll bite, they'll come. So if you give the fans what they like, they'll pay and come, they'll see it." You're always looking for the next best thing. I think everybody's looking to go bigger, better, instead of the darkened arena. And the circus is coming back with no animal acts. So okay, so no animal acts, and they're doing like America's Got Talent people, those kind of
Yeah.
guys coming up. So awesome, that's great. But they're however they do their expenses, they're going from town to town. In the territory days, it was the same town every week, maybe the same town every 2 weeks too. But it just you don't have anybody that special people are going to pay for right now. If you had them, if they were out there, WWE would know about them. We have some. Look, I've seen some really good guys who have been working around here lately. And some of the guys who have come through JPWA, but they like doing this. They like staying here. They've got great jobs. They can wrestle when they want to wrestle. They have families. They don't want to necessarily go branch out and do all that stuff. So, they're kind of taken, spoken for, but who is your next? Who would people come to pay to see at the circus? I get it because if you haven't seen these people on TV, or if you have and you're interested in seeing them in person, then they'll come to your town at the Coliseum and you can see them. But who on the local level? Who's going to come see them besides Mama, Daddy, Bubba, and Sissy? I don't know.
By the way, speaking of Triple H and Canyon Seaman firing you, Triple H returns to the Performance Center today.
He did.
Somebody said he's back, and they put it in quotes. He's back. So I don't know if that really means he's back or if he's just there talking for the day. So that's your buddy Triple H making his return. Does that mean Shawn Michaels gets pushed off to the side? We don't know.
Shawn will be fine. Triple H will be fine. The Performance Center will be fine. They're going to be fine no matter. And I think Hunter's glad to be back if he is back, but who knows? They need somebody in charge. And if Triple H says he feels like he's okay to go, then I don't think Vince would hold him back. I think he'd want to go back. Think he'd want to come in.
Now, I was going to talk a little bit about Shawn Michaels, but I won't because we have so many questions coming in here. So let's go to Eric
Awesome.
Tate. Did you ever wrestle at the Shrine Mosque in Springfield, Missouri?
You know what? I really don't think so. But if I did, it would have been. I don't know if Memphis ran Springfield or not. So I want to say no, but there's a possibility of yes. And I worked for Larry Matazik, I think twice or three times, something like that. And we did Checkerdome, and the other one was Chase. No.
Oh,
what was the other? No, what was the arena
in St. Louis? The wrestling at the Chase.
Yeah, but okay. Oh, maybe it was Chase. Okay, but I don't know. I really can't say yes or no. I don't, but I have been to some mosque.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Somebody here said there was a cool venue. I don't remember. Oh, here we go. Cool venue, says Bill. Yes, who has a great picture of just the body there. Nice.
Oh, that's Jess.
So staying in perfect circle there. Wow, that's interesting.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been in a couple mosques that are kind of cool looking.
And staying at Rick Rude in Joplin, Missouri. Interesting.
Oh, very cool.
Very, very interesting. I know I mentioned Shawn Michaels, but Sean Norris says my name is actually Shawn Michael Norris, named after HBK.
Well, that's cool. I know people who've named people after people. So
got to do a little Hall of Fame because, every week, and we mentioned this last week, Hakeem and One Man Gang Hall of Fame. You got to put both of them in. They both got to go in. Yeah,
I do agree.
Even though it's the same man, you got to mention both. Remember when Kevin Nash went in for some reason? He was, Scott Hall was Razor Ramon, and then Kevin Nash went in as Kevin Nash. Remember that confusion? Same guy. He's going
was it confusion? Because I wasn't confused.
I thought that was weird. Why would you call Scott Hall Razor Ramon and then Nash call him Nash and not Diesel? But
maybe it was a special request.
That definitely could be.
No, I'm sure it was. I'm sure Scott wanted Razor Ramon and Kevin wanted Kevin.
Yeah, you want to go in as Diesel.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you want to go in as Diesel? Yeah, good. No, good.
Carl Van Slyke. Really enjoyed you and Brett Sawyer in the Pacific Northwest. Who was your favorite tag team partner of all times?
Well, man, I don't know about all times. And that should really be easy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really should. So, well, I'm going to say Stan Lane. Sure I am.
Smart man.
Well, it's not that necessarily, although that is a smart move. That's a pretty smart move. But Stan was actually very easygoing, and I knew him before when he and Steve Kern were the fabulous ones. And so he had been through a couple really successful gimmicks, and he was just easy to connect with and do what we had to do. And so, but I enjoyed tagging with Brett. I really did.
You two crazy kids are probably living it up in the Pacific.
John, listen, we were just a couple kids out on the old prairie and, looking out in the sunset saying, Brett, I think we should be going to Eugene tomorrow night. What time you want to leave? So we used to have the place called the Bomber with the teepees on the outside, and we'd sit by the teepees all day, looking for signs and putting our ear to the ground.
I'd like to hear a Jimmy Del Rey story, Dr. Tom. Chris Vick. He loves Jimmy
Mm.
Del Rey.
Jimmy never was a good guy. He really was. I don't. I don't know any Jimmy Del Rey stories actually that come to mind right away. Jimmy was. Let's see. He called me in one time to do a shot in Tampa against Lou and Al Perez. And do you remember Mickey J, the
Oh,
referee in
yeah.
Florida? Okay, so
Yep.
Mickey, and he just passed away last
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Mickey J, I think, and it was, I think Steve Kern was actually promoting the show. And we flew in and we had to fly back out that morning to, we had to get back to Smoky Mountain. And Jim okayed it and we were fine. So we flew in and did the show, good show, and then we went out. And we wound up with Mickey J and I think it was his girlfriend at the time. And it was one of those nights where we overslept and we missed our flight. And Cornette was hot, and Jimmy kept thinking, "Oh fuck, he's going to get fired."
Yep.
Yeah. So he was a little nervous that day, but nothing happened. I mean, it was one of those deals. That's my only Jimmy Del Rey story I can share.
How high pitched did Cornette's voice get when he was mad at you guys?
I don't recall how high pitched he got. I just remember because it was one of those things to fly down to Tampa and fly right back. What could go wrong? So yeah, go ahead, make the shot, get paid, and come back. Well, when we got there, I could tell trouble was a brewing because Mickey J and we were having a really good match with Lou and Al, and it was a great night. It was a fun time, and we missed the flight. So we knew. We said, "Well, shit, why? We just don't want to hear. We don't want to make Jim upset." Wasn't that? It was funny at the same time.
Yes.
That we missed our flight.
Stan Lane did an excellent job of replacing Dennis Condrey in the Midnight Express. I agree. Jim Harder. I totally agree.
Well, I think that was a time that Stan came right at the perfect time because it changed the dynamic of the team and it changed the style. And I think all those guys will tell you Dennis was the captain or the general in the ring, especially when they first started. He and Bobby and Jimmy, he knew how to place them right where they needed to be placed and knew how to get where he needed to go with everybody. So, and then Stan came along and never missed a beat. So yeah, did a really good job.
And we learned on this show because Cornette, when he was our guest, probably about what is it, like a year and a half
Yeah,
ago.
yep.
Yeah, he said that had you answered your phone, maybe you would have been in the Midnight Express. But
I didn't
apparently,
have
you
a
didn't answer
phone.
your phone.
We didn't have phones back then. We were on a
Oh.
3-day run. Yeah, we didn't
Oh.
have cell phones back then.
You
We were on-
almost were part of the Midnight Express.
Yeah, but that's when I think Crockett bought the territory and brought everybody up. And they walked in, and Stan was in the office, and Dusty had already decided he was going to take Dennis's place. So yeah,
Man,
yeah.
imagine that.
Adrian Street told me we were on a 3-day run. Adrian Street told me that Jim had tried to get a hold of me, but we didn't have cell phones back then.
Wow, your career could have been changed forever.
Well, that's why I tell you, it happened just the way it was supposed to happen. And looking back on it, there's a reason for everything. And so, yeah, my career could have been different, could have been worse. Yeah.
Rick Brooks says, my brother was named after Vern Gagne and Lou Thez. I was named after Ricky Starr and Gene Stanley.
That's awesome. See that is pretty good, and to be named after your favorite wrestler, named after your favorite whatever. Um, think of how many Elvises there are out there. What's your name? Elvis. No, come on, for real. No, Elvis Brookside. Mama loved Elvis. Sure, she did. So yeah,
Ibsen, thoughts on the passing of Dave Hebner and Tim White this past week?
that
Two
was
legendary referees.
that was sad news. It sure was, and both Tim and Dave were really good guys. Did you ever meet them?
Tim White a bunch of times, actually.
You
Yes.
you ever meet Dave?
Once down in Virginia, I want to say it was about 5 years ago. I had more conversation with Earl, but it seemed
Okay.
like Dave was, he was okay, but he wasn't in like the greatest of health then. Yeah.
No, probably not. Yeah, but both guys were great, and they had guys like that when we got there in the beginning, and Timmy had been around Andre and drove him everywhere in the beginning, and Dave right away. I mean, they were just good guys. Dave was more the agent, like handled tickets or money and stuff like that, and Tim got to be the agent too, where he was handling tickets and money and stuff like that. So very sad news. Very, very sad news. I knew Dave wasn't in good health. And so that was that was very sad.
Tim White, I met him a bunch of times. Once at a WWE show, another at a Comic Con. I was just actually I was a guest of Cornette at this random show, and they had some WWE guys there, which was crazy. So I was talking to Tim White for a while, talking about Andre and stuff, and then I was joking around because I don't know if you remember this or not, but they did this lunchtime suicide thing where he would commit suicide like once a week on
Who?
the Tim White. They did a
He would commit
storyline with him.
suicide?
Fake for storyline, but it was like almost like a Roadrunner comedy sketch thing where he would like sit in a tub and they had with water in it, and he'd
Right.
throw the toaster in it, which was not running, and he'd electrocute himself. He tried to kill Josh Matthews, like all this funny stuff, and I was like, you had to have hated it. He said he loved it.
Well, I mean,
It was
yeah,
strange but funny, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
a sick way, yeah.
yeah. Well, that's okay. Yeah, but well, and that's great to be able to have fun like that if that's being a part of the storyline and stuff. So yeah, that,
Yeah,
that
so
again, it was there was a lot of guys around there. Jack Doan and I'm trying to think of who else.
Jimmy Corderas, Mike
Jimmy
Chioda.
Corderas, yeah, Jimmy Corderas is a good guy too. Yeah, so yeah, it was a very very sad week with both of those guys.
Yeah, I know Tim was younger, but I think was he 67? So he was a
I
few
thought,
years younger.
well, okay, yeah, he was. So he was younger. Wait, I know he's younger than Dave, but yeah, I didn't know if he's 67 or not. But
Crazy.
it
Was
is
he in poor
crazy.
health or anything, or we don't even know?
See, I don't know. Um, that was the first I'd heard in a long time. So I really don't know.
Because I know for like Comic Cons and like different autograph signings, Tim White's usually like the guy's handler. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
somebody was saying the Undertaker was somewhere, and Tim White was his handler there. At the show. So
Yes. Yes. And that just showed how much they trusted him too, and had respect for him and the boys. I mean, like Taker and whoever he was
yep,
with, because you don't want to. Hey, who do you want to go with you? How about Tim? Yeah. So
yep.
yeah.
Barbara says, always thought Dr. Tom was a great worker, just never understood why he didn't get a bigger push. Dr. Tom would have been a great world champion.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
agree?
think I no, I think I got just what I deserved, and um, it worked out just the way it was supposed to work out. That's all I can say. Um, I had just a big enough push, and that's why I think if I would have answered my phone and gone with Jim back then, I know I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, and I always tell people you have to go even though you're not ready, but I missed the call, so I didn't know it was even there. And I was doing what I was doing in Alabama. And I was in Alabama because of me. And I was where I was at because of me. And that's what I have to tell people. You can do whatever you want, but you can't be stupid about it. And you have to learn from your mistakes. So I got exactly what I deserved for what I gave and for what I did. And that's what you have to understand. It's not about getting a push. It's about going in and learning how to do what you have to do, play the game, and make your money and be a top guy. It is a process, and it is different. So uh, yeah. I didn't get a bigger push because I didn't deserve a bigger push. If I would have gone to the gym, if I would have done what I should have done, if I would have paid attention and made this business instead of going out there and not approaching it like that at all. Just I don't want to say putting on cruise control, but I will say, and I'm addressing this because this is an important part people don't understand. And when they come to wrestling school, a lot of people don't explain. What we do outside the ring is a hell of a lot more important than what happens in the ring. That's really where the working is. And when you're in the ring, you have to understand, know what you're doing, no doubt. And you have to have instinct and you have to have talent. But you also have to know how to work as a team. You also have to know how to work for the business and for the company and for you and make everything. And that takes, God, I don't know how to do it, but I'm watching people who do and paying attention to them and then listening. It, uh, it really is a process, and there's a recipe in how to do it. So,
Dr. Tom from Jeff, did you ever meet or wrestle Easy Money from ECW?
I met Easy Money. I don't believe I ever wrestled him, but yeah, I know Easy Money. Good guy.
What'd you think about him talent wise?
I thought he's very talented. He was very talented. He had confidence.
How come he didn't go further?
Okay. He had confidence. He was talented. But you also have to know sometimes you have to listen to what people are telling you. And you have to say thank you. And you have to show them you're coachable and show them and demonstrate that you can follow what you were just told. Sometimes it's just a test. Believe it or not. And just to see if you can and will. Are you coachable? Do you listen? Um, will you hear when somebody says, take this out of the match and sell it here or put this over there? And you're bound and determined to get all your shit in. Sometimes you got to stop and realize less is more. And if you're not coachable, not approachable, or open to changing stuff, then sometimes you keep doing what you're doing. You're going to keep getting what you're getting. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. So, and I like Jason. Jason, his name is Jason, I think. Yep. Or Easy Jason, Money. Jason
Jet. Yeah.
Okay. Jason Jet. Yeah. Look good. But sometimes you got to know when somebody tells you slow down, don't do too much stuff over here, save it for here, or just take it out completely and put this in. And let's see if you can get the most out of less. Saying less is more just isn't something that sounds like we know what we're talking about. Less really is more. If you look at any of the top matches and you really see what they do, see what's in between the moves, see what really holds it together, and know what you're watching. Everybody in boxing watches old matches because they want to watch footwork, they want to watch jabs, they want to watch how some fighters did. Why don't Why don't people in wrestling want to do that? Because the matches were boring to them back then. Harley Race versus Terry Funk, 1977, is boring to anybody today. I'm not saying it all feel that way, but the majority do because they don't know what they're watching. They don't understand why it's important to watch it. It's not their fault. They've never had the opportunity to see it live. Watching it on film or watching it on TV is different than actually being there live and feeling the environment, feeling the crowd, feeling the intensity, watching the sweat fly. Okay, nobody thinks about that because it's all performance, and it was performance back then too, just a different kind. And that's why it's been the fans have been educated to this, whatever this is. And to go back to that, the old school, that kind of stuff, is taking backward steps unless you have people who can make it interesting, like a Bret Hart or a Steve Austin. There's not a lot of people who can do that these days. Everybody's aged out, and the ones who are coming up on that veteran age have done the other stuff for so long. That's how they believe it to be. And everybody's kind of forgot about I don't know if everybody's forgot about it or not, but the basics, fundamentals. And what I mean by that is it's the in-between stuff and putting it together to where it makes sense. And who knows what makes sense these days? I mean, to what we make, to where it all kind of flows together and you're telling a story without anybody knowing that you're actually telling a story. They're just following along, and you don't have to say, hey, this is the first chapter, this is the second chapter. We're going to stop in between every spot we do and don't do anything except go to the next spot. That's what a lot of people don't understand, that without knowing what you're watching, that's what you're watching. And there's something missing, but you can't point it out. But I'm looking at it going, well, here's what it is. You guys are either going too fast or you're not letting it breathe and let people sink in. Let it sink into the people watching what's going on. So, again.
I got to put this up there because is it higher? Oh, higher self 4888 says, pause. I love your interviews. Thank you, bro. So I got to put him up there because he put me over. So
by all means.
Yes.
You're damn right. Self-promoting business.
Michael says, Tom, what are your memories of Gino Hernandez?
Well, we started going to the Coliseum, I believe I was 10 or 11, every Friday night. Bruce and I, my mom. And Gino was there too. But he was with his mom. And they would sit in the same seats as the boys' wives, girlfriends. So we would see him around. We didn't really talk to him at that time. I think he's 2 years older than me. But as we watched, we were both growing up every Friday night at the Coliseum. Again, we didn't really connect because it was obvious he was in with somebody, and it was Luis Hernandez. He was Luis Hernandez's stepson, and his mom had married Luis. Luis went to Japan, had a heart attack, and died. He wrestled as a medic, or El Medico, I guess. And then Gino kept working out. I was working in the office when I was 16 all the way through 20, and Gino started wrestling. I think Gino started in 77 or whatever, or 76. But always arrogant, cocky, but talented. Very talented. And started out as a babyface, and his natural personality just couldn't be subdued. So he had to turn on Jose, and they had this great feud, and he had natural heat, honest to God, natural heat. That's just one of those cocky, arrogant guys who knew he was better than you, and you knew he was better than you, and you hated him for it. I mean, he had heat. There's a great match on YouTube between Gino and Chavo Guerrero, and before the match even gets in the ring, the camera comes up, and Gino has a guy by the hair. It's a fan, and he's kicking him in the face. and the cops have to take him back, and the whole
That's
match is
awesome.
hot like that. Yeah. So,
Do you think if Gino hadn't died, would he have gone to WWE?
well, of course, yes, yes, I do.
Me too, for sure. He had that power there, that star power to him that Vince would have been attracted to.
I
Ch-
yes.
Chug Alert says best town that had the best ring rats. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and I think we said it was Pensacola. I think.
I think every town had a few choice, ladies. I really did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan says I love hearing good rib stories. That Kurt Owen and Davy Boy. If so, did you would you care to share maybe a rib from one of those three?
Well, one of the uh, yeah, it was kind of funny, but in Oregon, Chief Jewel Strongbow, Frankie Hill. I knew him from California, and then he came. He was in Oregon too, and Kurt was there, Hennig. Um, and when Chief was in the ring, Kurt used to like to take one of his shoes and put it in the toilet, and it got to be a regular. Yeah, it got to be a regular thing. So as soon as Chief came back to the locker room, he'd go right to the toilet first. Go, God damn you, Kurt, and pull his shoe out of the toilet. So I mean, and just stupid stuff like that. Kurt would do things like shave somebody's eyebrow off, then shave his own off. Say, hey, they got me too. I mean, I appreciate the dedication. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
really.
that's but you heard the story about him and uh, it was Jacques and Dynamite because Kurt was ribbing, Dynamite or no, Kurt was ribbing Jacques and putting the heat on Dynamite. It was everybody thought it was Dynamite, and Kurt was. I don't know. I wasn't there, so maybe I shouldn't even do rumor and innuendo. Never mind. I know
Oh
it's in.
damn it, that was going somewhere good. Damn,
Yeah, it
that's
was, but the point is, Kurt did the rib, and Dynamite got the heat,
yes.
and that's where the tension between Jacques and Dynamite Kid came into play. I understand, and it's like
Yep.
that's when the ribs go a little too far and get a little too heated. So I don't want to be ribbed. I
We'll
mean,
do one final question before we wrap it down. It's from the King of Kingsport himself. You know him very well, Bo James. The Bomber or the Congress Inn, which was worse?
oh no, they were all outstanding. The Bomber and the Congress Inn were in a class all by themselves, and they were awesome for all the same reasons.
All the wrong reasons,
All the
or
same reasons. I'm
oh,
not
same
saying
reason?
right or wrong. That's your judgment call. I was in heaven every time I was there.
All right, all right. Now let's talk about your book, a pro wrestling curriculum advice, suggestions, stories of the aspiring pro get to the next level. Dr. Tom, where can they get the awesome book?
You can get that awesome book at jpwrestlingacademy.com and click on the book. I believe it's on the front page. Click on the book. It'll take you to Amazon.com to order, but just go to jpwrestlingacademy.com.
Nice. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Two Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. And you can follow Dr. Tom on Twitter at Dr. Tom Prichard. And of course, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, prowrestlingtees.com. Hit up the JPWA store or hit up the Dr. Tom store. I love the Wanted Dead or Alive show. I think that is a classic. That is a good one. What else you got going on in this crazy
We
world?
have graduation this week, man. We have graduation Friday for the spring class of JPWA, and then July 4th. Yes, it's a patriotic holiday. I know all that. But we're going to start our summer class July 4th. I decided we're going to go ahead and start on that Monday. You want to come get some fireworks? Find them at the JPWA. That's the way I thought.
Nice, good stuff. Just got to put this out there before we wrap it up because Justin stuck this one. This is a good one. Hit the wiggle like Jimmy Del Rey. I like
Ain't
that.
nobody can do it like Jimmy Del Rey. He took it with him when he went. I never could do the wiggle. Yeah.
And he also says
That-
thank you for a great podcast. And Barbara says, I'd like a signed copy. Where could she get a
Uh,
signed copy?
yeah. Well, I tell you what, if you we do PayPal, and it is $25, I believe, on PayPal, or if you send me an email. I'm trying to think. I think it's $25 on PayPal, and you go to my PayPal at drtomprichard.com or at Dr. Tom Prichard, I think it is. Send me an email at gmail.com too, JP Wrestling Academy at Gmail, and we'll work it out.
There you go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you right back here next week for a little Take You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. We'll see you next week, folks.